Okay guys, so I'm just going to start from where I dropped in last video. So in last video you saw we created 5 CSVs, 5 dimensions out of the full data set we got. We are calling these dimensions because these are different perspectives. For example, when a doctor gets this full set of data, he's just going to look into these three things if he wants his own information, and he's going to look into, for example, patient, and if you want to diagnose a patient, then he has to look into lab.csv and patient.csv. So that's how. Now I think I answered one of the question while writing. Now, to diagnose a patient, we need two of these CSVs, right? We don't need this full data set. For example, if a doctor is looking at this data set and he just, for this I'll just mark this. So this is data set 2 and this is data set 1. Both data sets contain all the data. It's just that how in the minimum effort you get the information required. So for example, if a doctor wants to see the lab reports of a particular patient, in this case he has to parse through, there are 200 patients, all 200 records over here, and he have to parse through all 200 records and check which patient or whatever. In in this case, if he even knows the laboratory name, he can straight away join this lab.csv to patient.csv, these two CSVs, and get the information required. So that way we use these two dimensions and create another set of information, which is actually a fact. So fact is nothing but the information derived from dimensions. We call it views as well, but views is a BI concept and fact is a RDBMS concept. Okay, ignore RDBMS concept, fact. Now, coming on to this one, what happens, what's going on, why do we call fact a fact? So, I'll just come on to a very basic explanation just to make sure, and yes, turning pages slightly, just to make sure that you guys get basic coordinate geometry. There is a point x comma y, which means this is x, this is y, this is point 1. This point 1, let's say a very small ant which moves to this point b, which is basically x2 comma y2. Now from this point to this point, what changed? The perspective of looking at the point, the dimensions changed. X1 changed to x2, y1 changed to y2. So that means dimension is something in which things change. So if we come on to the last example, a patient.csv will have the patient name, right? Now, the patient, for example, I keep a discharge date over here, right? So the discharge date would be null till the time the patient is admitted in the hospital. As soon as the patient is released, the discharge date would be updated, right? So this dimension basically carries the data, and from the data we get to know the life of data, the life. So x1 changes to x2, y1 changes to y2. That means dimensions can handle change. But what is fact? Fact is reality. What happened in one point in time? How can we get the location of this dot? We can get this location of this dot if we combine both the dimensions x and y. That's how we get the coordinate on an Argand diagram. So that's how this is a fact that this dot is at position x and y. This fact is not going to change. That's why facts are non-editable. You never delete a data into fact. You always enter data into the fact. So fact, let's say there is a fact table, then in that fact table, the first entry would say that a particular dot p1 was at x1 and y1 on so and so date. The same point p1 went to position x2 and y2 on so and so date. This is true in one point in time, and this is true in another point in time, because these are facts. So facts is data derived from the dimensions. I think I made that clear. So I'm just going to write the names so that I don't have to tell the, so patient.csv and doctor.csv, laboratory.csv, credit card.csv, and insurance.csv. So these five CSVs. Now if someone asks me, give me the detail of a laboratory, like in that laboratory, okay, I'll just keep it. For example, the ask is, give me the detail of all the patients who went to laboratory situated in Belandur. Just simple question. All the patients who went to the laboratory situated in Belandur. In that case, you just need patient.csv, right? And you have to see how many patients go to lab. Now, you see there is no connecting point. Patients in my earlier data set, you see the patient just have ID, name, and disease, and it has lab ID, lab name. Now, these are all dimensions standing on their own. So we need to somehow connect these two dimensions, any two dimensions, so that there is no discontinuity. How do we connect? I just simply say, this is how I connect. I am going to create a fact called patient in lab, where it will have PID and LID mapped to each other, which is, for example, whatever, 1 to 15, 2 to 6, 3 to 24. What I'm doing here is, PID is nothing, the ID, the first column of patient.csv, and LID is ID of ID, which was the first column of lab. The fact is also populated through ETLs, okay, and that's how you map data, patients IDs. So what you simply do, you join this fact to patients and join. Okay, the question is labs in Bilando, so you join this fact to patients and laboratories, where laboratory location is equal to Belandur. That way you get all the patients cross laboratories who are in Belandur through this. So that's how you get all the information through facts. There can be various facts. You can create n number of facts for information. Now facts do, and this is a basic concept of data warehousing. Now they do, you can say, follow schemas. There are two types of schemas: star schema and snowflake schema. Now, I'll come to this star schema and snowflake schema in next video. So I'll just do a quick revision of what I told in this video. So dimensions, making fact out of dimensions. A simple question to get all the patients in Belandur laboratory through a fact in which you join fact to patient and laboratories, and that's how you get the details. Thanks, guys.